Welcome, everybody, to the World Real Estate Network. Today is May the 17th, 2018, and I am interviewing Brandon Lively. Good morning, Brandon. How are you?
Morning, everybody. How are you? I'm doing great, doing great.
Awesome.
It's hot, but that's all right.
And Brandon is in beautiful, and I'm going to say it like you're supposed to say it, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
That's right. That's right. The red stick.
And I'm allowed to say it that way because I went to LSU. So I can say that, and y'all can't say anything about me. So Brandon, how far away are you from LSU campus?
I am about five to 6 minutes away. I'm not far at all. I actually live. My wife works at LSU, so we live close because I don't like her to commute, so she's a 5-minute commute.
Got it. So Brandon, being in real estate, first of all, how long have you been in real estate?
I've been in real estate. This is my second year. First official year was last year. This is my second year going in, and I finished my first quarter of the second year, and it's doing very well, very well.
You like it?
I'm loving it. I should have did this 20 years ago.
Why didn't you?
Money, because it's expensive to get involved in this to start this process. You know, people don't realize you take a lot of risk when you jump into real estate. It's not something you just fire away and say, I'm going to do this. You know, you got to have some very good people behind you.
I saw on the news probably maybe last year that Edwin Edwards got his real estate license in Louisiana.
He does. He actually belongs to a brokerage, and he doesn't sell much, but he does refer out a lot of business.
He knows a lot of people.
Huh?
For those of you who have no idea who Edwin Edwards is, just Google Edwin Edwards, because we could probably spend 3 hours talking about the history on Edwin Edwards.
And that wouldn't even touch the tip of the surface.
All right, so let's talk about real estate. After Katrina, New Orleans had a big time slowdown, and people that lived there, a lot of people moved to Baton Rouge, they moved to Lafayette, they moved to Lake Charles, they moved to Dallas. How has Katrina affected the real estate business in Baton Rouge?
Well, actually, I think it actually helped it. It got some things. It got more people in the market here in Baton Rouge. Like you said, people moved in the area, but it really has. I think all of that had leveled off. I mean, we're almost. I mean, 2005 was Katrina. We're in 2018. There are some parts of New Orleans that hasn't bounced back, but that doesn't mean that they won't eventually. But like I said, here in Baton Rouge, I think it's benefited over time. And I wasn't in the market, and I wasn't in the industry then, but the infrastructure probably took a big hit on Baton Rouge for it. I think it's benefited as well because it brought business here and it brought jobs here as well. So I think that's where it really helped out.
So if you're a seller and you're looking to sell a house in Baton Rouge, now this is 2018, the beginning of real estate season. Real estate season is fixing to start probably for the next 3 or 4 months. What should people expect in 2018 as far as timeline on selling a house?
Well, that's a big question. The one question I tell my sellers when I sell their home and I put their home, you want to be on the market and actually get your house ready to go on the market, but you don't want to be just sitting on the market. I could put a house on the market all day long. It's all about being priced in the market. So some of these sellers, we had this flood of 2016 that destroyed a lot of homes in a lot of areas, and people did benefit from it. They saw a value of about 5 to 7% increase in their home values for homes that didn't flood. But people assume that that's going to happen across the board. So they're looking at going, well, if that happens, I mean, I can put my home on the market and ask $250 for it when it's only worth $240 or $230 or $220. And people don't realize that actually hurts it more than helps it, because you need to get to that point of getting it moved. And my job as what I do here and what I strive for is I try to get your home sold in 90 days. And if I can sell it in less than 90 days, I've done the job, which means I've done everything properly, which means I priced it right, I've done it right, I've marketed it right, I've moved the home right. So that's really the market when it comes to a selling part of the process. I do think Some people have some inflated issues when it comes to selling their homes. They think their home's worth gold and it's probably worth only silver. But that's okay. And that's why you have to hire somebody who can tell you no, tell you that's not really where it's at. It's where it needs to be. And some real estate agents aren't comfortable with telling their clients that they're trying to get on them and to list their home with them. Tell them no. You know, I don't take every listing. I turned down 3 last week. I'm just not going to take every listing because you're not going to tell me that I'm doing my job wrong and expect it to go well with you. The fact that I'm doing my best to help serve you and work for you to really get your house moved rather than being in the market, because it hurts me if I don't sell that home unless the money.
So you're not going to take on a project, is what you're telling me.
Exactly, because it's not fair to the client. It's not fair to me, because that's it. I put in my hard-earned money into your home that I don't even own, to market it, to take pictures, do all this other stuff, and take my time out to do that. And you're going to want somebody who's going to put their effort into it, because I use this analogy with sellers all the time. When I take you on as a listing, I'm married to you now. I officially married to you. We didn't say I do, and we didn't sign no paperwork, but all into the listing agreement. That listing agreement, I want a divorce in 90 days. I want to marry you for 90 days, and I want a divorce. I want to move it forward. Why? Because that's what makes it easier. And everybody understands that terminology a lot easier. So if I can get you done in 90 days or less, you're going to be happy with it.
So what is the average price range that you're selling in Baton Rouge right now, as far as sellers go?
Well, that's a very broad question, because there's parts of Baton Rouge that are selling less than $100,000, and then there's some Baton Rouge that's selling $500,000 homes. So the broad spectrum there. And my area, basically a 20-mile radius of my home, you're looking at right around 215 to 230.
Okay.
And that's this area. Now, if you go a little further in somewhere, you might get some that are worth $400,000 or $500,000. It just depends on where you're at, what kind of process, and where you're at.
An average neighborhood, and I'm saying average. I know there's not averages, but let me just give you a scenario. Let's say that you have like a 2,700 square foot house on a double lot with a pool. What would be your guesstimate of an average sales price on that size home with a pool?
You're probably looking at, in a decent area, like take my neighborhood, for example, that home will probably sell, if it's been updated and has some nice amenities to it, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,700 square foot home, got a pool on it, decent sized lot. You're looking at probably 250 to 280.
Interesting. The reason I ask that is because my home sold for $315 in Flower Mound, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what size it was. 2,700 square feet, double lot, pool, 4-bedroom, 2.5 baths.
Mm-hmm.
That was the price range. And what's so crazy is that in different markets, there's so many different price ranges of houses, like in New Jersey or New York, for example. A 4-bedroom house that size is going to be over $1 million.
Oh, yeah.
Easy.
Mm-hmm.
And what's crazy now is that I'm looking at condos in Florida, and in Panama City Beach, a 2-bedroom condo, 1,200 square feet, is running around $295,000 to $300,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was asking you what the price range is.
So I'll give you
Baton Rouge.
I'll give you, for instance, I have a client just bought a condo, 2-bedroom condo, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It is a block off of LSU's campus, and it sold for $245,000, and it was appraised for $260,000.
Whoa.
That's a condo.
Gotcha. All right, so let's talk about buyers. What's the first thing a buyer needs to know when you take somebody on and you decide you're going to start working with that buyer to go look at houses?
Well, the first things first is I want to make sure that they are aware of the steps in the process of buying a home. Buying a home is a marathon, not a sprint. It's not happening. It doesn't happen overnight unless you got cash money. And not everybody has cash money, so they got to get pre-approved and get financing and all that stuff. So it's going to take a little time, and it's going to take a little patience, and you're going to have to walk through some hoops and jump through some things to get it done, because that's just the way the world works now. But the number one thing I tell people is, if you don't get pre-approved and get pre-approved with a quality lender, not just a lender on the street that your brother's mother, sister's auntie is a lender. I mean, you gotta have somebody that's willing to actually know what they're doing. Somebody who's got some credibility in the business. And I've actually told some buyers that came to me with pre-approvals, hey, this pre-approval is not worth it. We're going to go to another lender. So
you're talking about really a couple of banks out there that have a bad reputation.
Not just banks, but I mean, there's some people that really don't know what they're doing in the lending world. And I'm not a lender by any means, but when I pick up the phone and I call that lender and I say, hey, have you pulled their credit? Yes, you pulled their credit. Have you verified their income? Yes, I've verified income. Have you seen anything in their banks? Have you seen their debt to income ratio? And you'll be surprised at how many of them say, well, I haven't looked at that yet. Well, then why do you write a pre-approval based on not having that information? I mean, you got to have that information, because if I show them a $200,000 house and you tell them you're pre-approved for $200,000, I go through the process and then you tell me, oh, they could only buy 150. I'm gonna be really upset, and that lender will never get a business card from me.
Well, it's kind of funny that you bring that up, because I remember in 2000, when I got licensed in 2000, then the crash hit in 2007. And the reason for that crash, and this is before you got your license, the reason that crash hit is because they were doing no income verification loans.
Mm-hmm.
And now I see where they're started to do that again, which is
bad.
That's the potential of a big nightmare that's fixing to happen if they don't straighten up what they're doing. They started it with commercial, now they're doing it with residential. So to protect your buyer, to protect the integrity of the buyer and the loan, do you call the loan officer and ask them questions before you take that buyer out to go look at houses?
I do that 100% of the time. And I usually, what happens is, if you're a buyer and you call me out of the blue and you've never been pre-approved, you haven't talked to a lender, it makes it easier on me. Why? Because I can refer to you. I'm not allowed to send you to one lender. I got to give you a couple that you choose from, right? I can't just recommend one.
What if they know their own person?
If they know their own person and I have not worked with them and don't know their process, I'm going to verify everything I can with that process before I even do anything, show them a home or anything like that. Because I want to make sure that they understand that it's all about the numbers. And if you are saying that you're approved for XYZ and you can't get approved for that, you're wasting the buyer's time, you're wasting the realtor's time, you're wasting the listing agent's time, you're wasting everybody's time in the transaction, not to mention your own.
What about, how do you feel about a buyer's representation agreement? First of all, let me explain my definition of buyer's representation as I know it in Texas, because in Louisiana it's different.
It is a little different, yes.
Okay, in Texas, the way the buyer representation works, it means that I'm going to represent you, the buyer, and I'm also going to be protected on my commissions, which means that if we don't sign this, that I automatically represent the seller, and so any advice or opinion is on behalf of the seller. Mm-hmm. To transfer that representation by a buyer's representation agreement, that means that I'm transferring the representation from the seller to me as the buyer's agent. Mm-hmm. It also means that if you go buy a house and you try to go around me, I still get paid. And if the seller doesn't pay it, you got to pay it. Now, is that the same in Louisiana as it is in Texas?
It's similar to that. I'll be honest with you. Louisiana, a lot of agents don't use this buyer representation form anymore. I personally don't use it. And I'll tell you why I don't use it. I want the buyer to understand I'm working for you and I'm doing what I can to make sure you do things right. But if you go around me, I'm fine with that. But I guarantee you this, it's not going to be pretty. I'm not going to be happy with it. But it's one of those things is I want to make sure that my client, if I meet them for the first time and we walk through it and I get them to sign this buyer's agreement and they don't like me after me doing some work for them, I'm not going to hold myself liable and hostage to a client who really doesn't want to do business with me.
But in Louisiana, do you represent the seller?
Only if you have the listing.
Okay, so let's back up. So you are working with a buyer,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have a buyer's representation agreement with that buyer.
Mm-hmm.
In Texas, and that's why I'm asking this question. In Texas, if I don't have a buyer representation agreement, then legally I represent the seller.
Mm-hmm. But
What about in Louisiana? How does that work?
it does not, that does not mitigate that you work for the seller if they don't sign the buyer's representation agreement. We do have an agency disclosure that we disclose what all agencies are out there, whether it's the listing agents, the seller's agency, the buyer's agency, the dual agency. We do all that disclosing of everything. And in Louisiana, the big thing right now is disclosure. Right down from the flood disclosure all the way to the wire fraud and advisory notice that we put out to my clients, because wire fraud is a big thing going on. So
Right.
my big thing is I sign with them a buyer's agency disclosure to let them know, and I at that point tell them, look, we are signing this as an agency disclosure to let you know what agency disclosure we're doing, and that is a buyer's agency. Now, when I represent, the only way I represent them is once I'm under contract with them, because I feel like if they're not 100% satisfied with what I'm doing, then they should have the right to go find somebody else. And I'd much rather have that on my conscience, knowing I'm not ham hawing somebody. And look, if I had a client I represented them as a seller. I sold their home and got their home under contract. I showed them a whole bunch of new homes that they were looking to purchase. They turned around and found another buyer's agent and used a different buyer's agent because I didn't have a buyer's agency disclosure, agency agreement. But that was my fault. I should have did that. But the problem is that happens few far between in the state. That because most of the time these clients realize when I do my work and I send them to my lender, a lender that they chose that I've given to them, or I've done all that due diligence, a lot of them are really going to work with you because they know that you're doing what you got to do. If you show your work, you do what you're doing, they're going to take care of you. They're going to help you out. They're going to make sure that you're doing your thing. And I find that I gain more business by not signing it versus having them sign it, in my opinion.
All right, so let me ask you a question. Let's say that I'm just your average Joe. I'm not a realtor, so I don't know the answer to these questions. What makes you different than any other realtor that I could call to help me with a real estate transaction? What makes you different than anybody else in Baton Rouge? Because there's thousands of them. Why should I call you?
Well, I'll tell you the one thing that I do that sets me apart is I have learned in any business I've ever done, I have a work ethic that most people don't have. I will work harder for them, whether it's I'm telling you a $5,000 piece of property or a $500,000 house. Everybody gets the same treatment. Everybody gets the same VIP treatment because that's the way it should be. And I'm not looking for your sale at that moment. My job is to make you happy enough that you're willing to send everybody you know to me. Because that's the name of the game. But I will tell you, I want to make sure that I'm your realtor for life. And by doing that is going above and beyond. I had a client call me, hey, I'm having issues. I need to move my stuff from my storage to this. I said, no problem. I'll help you out. I hook my trailer up into the storage unit, help them load it up, put them into their new house. You know, they couldn't do it. They couldn't find a trailer. They couldn't find anything to help them move. It was a single mama with 2 kids. I said, you know what? I don't care. I'll do this. And she was like, well, let me make sure I keep everybody happy and let you know what you did. I said, I don't need to know that. I don't need people to know that that's what I did it. I didn't do it to get publicity. I did it because that's the right thing to do.
Right? It's called integrity.
Call integrity. And you know what? There's a lot of people in this business and a lot of people in Baton Rouge. There are a lot of agents, but there are a lot of them that don't have integrity. There are a lot of them that don't have the
Dude, that's all over. That's all. And that's why you were selected for the World Real Estate Network to represent Baton Rouge. Because I had other people that I talked to in Baton Rouge. And then when I saw how you responded to questions on Facebook, that's why we had that conversation, 2 weeks ago?
2.5 weeks ago, something like that,
because
yeah.
I liked what you told me. And I can tell when somebody's sincere. And that's why you are the guy for Baton Rouge, the only guy to represent Baton Rouge. And in my opinion, if somebody chooses somebody else in Baton Rouge and doesn't call you, they're a fool. Period.
I agree with that. I think you're right, and I agree with that. I'm not tooting my own horn. And look, I don't have 15 years of experience in this business. I don't. But what that tells you is I'm not complacent, and I'm not trying to buck the status quo. I'm trying to change the status quo. I want to make sure that people understand that I want them to call me for everything. I have my own personal real estate app that I have everybody and anybody that I refer that does business, whether it's electricians, whether it's carpenters, whether somebody does whatever. So if you call me tomorrow and say, hey, I need somebody that does lawn service. Well, everybody knows a lawn guy, right? But I actually put my guy out there and I make sure that they're taken care of and make sure that they understand that this guy does very good work. So I do my due diligence. So I'm not just going to be the real estate guy that you know. I'm going to be the one that you call me for everything, you know? And that's what's going to set me apart and make sure that people understand you can call me for anybody. You see these people on Facebook all the time going, hey, I need somebody that does this. And if they had a good person, like a good connection like me, then they wouldn't need to. They just call me and say, hey, I need somebody that does this. Great. I send it right on over to you, send a contact, call it, and get it taken care of. You know, I'm all about networking. Networking is the key in this business.
Yeah, exactly. So if somebody wants to reach out to you, tell them your email address, your website, any way they can to contact, because I'm going to put it on this YouTube, but tell people that are watching this video how to contact you.
Best way to contact me is through my cell phone, which is 504-428-5699. That's my cell phone. It's on me every day, all day. I don't respond to calls easily fast. I do respond to text faster. So if you text me, I will get to you a lot faster, obviously. If you email me, it's brandon.lively@exprealty.com. That's that's my email address here. I also have my website at brandon225.com. So I'm all over. You can catch me on Facebook, Twitter. I mean, you can catch me any which way. I'm a big social media person. I'm always doing something on social media to just ask questions and do things like that. So there's ways of looking me up. You can follow me, get a hold of me very easily.
So Brandon, let me ask you a question. You're out showing houses and somebody calls you. You answer the phone?
Never.
Good answer.
I never
love that answer.
In fact, now, you know, I don't know if you guys have the Supra lock boxes that we have here. Supra. We have that. I have it on my phone where you can get in the thing that way and go from there. But once I do that, it goes in my pocket. Unless they're asking me for a question about price per square foot or something, and I need the calculator on it. Other than that, I don't usually fool with it. And I'm actually almost thinking about taking it off my phone and just getting the key. That way I don't have to worry about it. That way I can leave my phone in the vehicle. Because I think when you go to, whether you're dealing with a seller or a buyer or whatever, you should devote that time to that person for a reason. Because they're wanting to see something. They want to ask you a question. You want to make sure you can answer it, or at least know how to get the answer. And if you're on your phone, if you're doing 14 things and somebody's calling you, whatever the case may be, then you can't do anything. You're not there. You're not in the moment. And I believe about being in the moment, not just around the moment.
So the last time we talked on the phone, we talked about building a team, getting a transaction coordinator, hiring a buyer's agent to help you out. How important do you think that is as a realtor to have people that work with you in a team environment as opposed to working by yourself?
Well, it lets you, it helps you make sure all the little things get done when it comes to a transaction of a home purchase or a home sale when you represent the buyer or the seller. And I think if you have somebody who handles the little things to make sure that all the T's and I's are dotted, it makes your job a lot smoother, and you can devote more time to that client. Because that way your client can see the benefit from it, rather than me worrying about that contract being dotted and signed here. I have my transaction coordinator handle that and make sure it's handled. That way, when my clients call me, they're getting me, and I'm not worried about the 4 other deals that I'm working on.
Right, exactly.
And that makes it a whole lot easier. Now, having a team, I'm slowly building my team, because I'm being very selective on who I take on my team, because I don't want.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you want to, I think about it. I'd have to seriously think about it. I want 15 references and make sure that we're all They're all good. They have to be good names and phone numbers only because I want to sell them my house.
What if I pronounce people's names wrong? Do I still get hired?
I pronounce people's names wrong.
Like Patin. What if I pronounce that Patton? Am I fired or hired?
Well, if you do it once, you might get away with it. But if you do it again, you might have an issue. But I also make sure that when I see, Louisiana's different. We got a lot of crazy names out here. We got a lot of people who name their children things that they probably shouldn't name their children. And I usually try to find that last name first so I can say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. whatever. And it just makes it so much smoother because it's easier to pronounce that last name sometimes than it is the first name.
All right, so I'm going to throw some names. This will be just kind of fun. This really has nothing to do with real estate. It'll be So I'm going to spell some names.
I'm not a great speller, so you got to bear with me.
Well, you can write it down. I'll spell it, you write it down, and then I want you to pronounce it for me so people can understand the differences between the small Louisiana world and the real world out there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the first word is Patin.
Patin.
And pronounce that.
Patin.
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 Patin. All right, next one. You failed on that one. You failed on that one. Next one, Heb.
H-E-E.
E-R-T.
Hebert.
Hebert, that's right.
Hebert.
Not Hebert.
Not Hebert.
Hebert.
Bobby Hebert, everybody knows Bobby Hebert wasn't the Saints quarterback,
All right, last one. This is an easy one for you. You should get this one. If you fail this one, then I'm not posting your video and you can All right, the last one. A-D-A-I-R.
A-D-A-I-R. At
Hair.
Huh?
What?
A-D-A-I-R, right?
Yep.
At hair?
Oh,
at hair?
my God.
I'm not
Don't call him. Do not call this guy.
My last name is Lively. You know how many people mispronounce my last name? You'd be surprised. I get Liverly, Levely. I get it all. I get it all. I get it all.
So tell people how to pronounce my last name in Louisiana. If I lived in Louisiana.
Well, it's Roussel down here. It's Roussel. I don't care what you say, how you say it, whichever way. It's Roussel down here. That's how we do it. That's how we do it down here. Okay.
Well, I'll remember that. If I come to Baton Rouge, I want you to take me to the Breaux Bridge Crawfish Festival.
Oh, look, that's a good one right there. That's a good one. That's a good one.
So, real quick, tell me, in Baton Rouge, what's your favorite restaurant to go to? You got one restaurant to go to and you're dying the next day. Where's your last meal going to be?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because there's some good ones out here.
Only one.
I will tell you, Ruffino's, and they are the best place to go eat.
Is it Italian food?
They do a little bit of everything. They do Cajun style Italian stuff, and it's delicious. Oh my God! It's the guy who owns Ruffino's went to LSU, played at LSU, and I'm gonna tell you, it's probably one of the better places to eat in the town. Now, there's a bunch of them around here that's good, but that's probably one of the better ones. That or
Ruffino's is your choice. I'm going to have to tag Ruffino's on this so that they can, help advertise you on this video.
Hey, that'd be great for them. I actually saw him the other day. I saw the owner of Ruffino's the other day. He was kind of funny. He don't know who I am, but I know who he is. That's for sure.
All right. Well, we have ended our now 30-minute wonderful interview. Is there anything that your final words for buyers, sellers, investors that you want to share in 1 minute or less?
The way to do real estate is the lively way to real estate. That's what I'm all about.
That's a pretty lively response you just gave me there.
That is what it is, brother. That's why my name works.
All right, Brandon. Hey, thanks for your time. I hope that everybody that watches this video, if you're looking to buy or sell in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, call this dude. He's the guy.
I appreciate it. Take care, guys.
All right. Thank you, Brandon. Have a great day.